Greetings and good evening, all friends, family, colleagues, intrepid investigators, intended covert saboteurs, random potentially sociopathic passersby, dedicated stalkers, most especially animal lovers, and generally all offended parties. Anybody that is dramatically misinformed enough to actually be of the consideration that you are somehow in opposition to our standards, which, FYI, would have to be considered not really a viable determination to make, as the fact of the matter is that our policy is to be of benefit to everyone, regardless of your expressive characteristics. So it would not really be, I mean, if you feel as though you absolutely must kind of stand against us, that of course would be by and large your constitutional right as a proud citizen of these damn fine sort of pseudo United States, which can of course be clearly and firmly established by just about any self-aggrandizing corporate media outlet to have little to no potentiality whatsoever of ultimately turning out to be what in actuality amounts to little more than a cleverly disguised internment camp. I mean, it's debatable to say the least that the founding of this particular country was driven and fueled almost solely by the motivation of imposing and propagating a state of civil debt slavery. That said, I'm going to have to go ahead and have the very utmost confidence in your ability to comprehensively register the statements that I've just made. Now, this video is intended to cover a few kind of random topics that have popped up in the recent past as I've been absent for the most part. I should like to begin by expressing my apologies for my unseemly appearance. I'm not sure how I look to you, but I know how I feel. I have been kind of just really pushing myself as hard as I can for what I think is about 5 days straight now with no rest whatsoever. Come to think of it, no food either. I have consumed a great deal of fluoridated water, which is, semi-poisonous, but I think it's probably a good thing to keep hydrated. But of those 5 days, the initial three were spent in a considerable degree of agony, as I've recently become aware of some of the potential setbacks of my particular practices. Um, Throughout the course of this venture, I have become aware of capabilities in the human entity that I was heretofore unaware of beforehand. Namely, the ability to manipulate time, as it were, one's personal perspective of the passing of time. And I worked pretty hard at that once I figured out how to kind of flex gravity, in a manner of speaking, to effectively kind of stretch every second to make the most effective use of every passing moment, and get as much as I possibly can done, multiple things at once, preferably. Uh, Ultimately, I mean, it was a fun practice. It's really fun practice, and I loved it. And I got real energized. I got souped up. I felt really good about it. Not to mention the fact that it's kind of like a real deal superpower. So, I mean, it's pretty fucking awesome. Essentially, you learn how to stretch a moment, and you can move real fast and get a lot done. But what I had not anticipated, and I suppose I was too excited about it to really give a shit and didn't look at it, but when it comes to the point wherein I am actually incapable of making use of the time, like there's nothing for me to be doing, and I'm actually waiting for something to happen, it seems I never really planned to, I didn't equip myself with any capacity for shortening that time. So it comes to, it gets to the point where seconds string into minutes, string into hours, and over the course of a single day, from my perspective, has been waiting anxiously, building that tension for long enough to have made me want to jump in front of a train several times over. And 3 days, I mean, I guess a lot of you may not understand, but that's a very, very, very long time. And it's kind of like, when I can't be using that time to any serious efficiency, it's a it's a prison sentence. So fortunately, I got back on track the past 2 days. I managed to get back on here now. However, yesterday I made a pit stop at a bar down the street, hung out with the tender for a little while, and I was informed at that point, brought to my attention that, from what I hear, our president, Donald Trump, I still have trouble calling him our president. I know that he has a lot of real dedicated supporters for whatever reason. I mean, I guess it's not obvious enough that the dude really doesn't give a shit about you at all. If he says he does, you believe him because you want to, and I get that. I mean, I've dealt with enough people to know what's going on in the human mind, so to speak. But, I mean, the guy's not really a very careful person. I'm not going to say he's a bad person, as I'm just saying he's not presidential material, that's for sure. However, even though I didn't expect him to get in office, really, I certainly didn't have any, um, any real desire to go the other way. The the alternative candidate was a nightmare, to say the least, and that is not to be speaking in any way against women's rights or endeavors in any way. Any of you that know me well, know me personally, will be well aware that my personal opinion on the matter is that the female entity is in every possible way superior to the male entity, and definitely deserves a hell of a lot more credit. But this particular woman, Hillary Clinton, that that's like, I do not believe in evil, but she kind of makes me lean toward it. And that's not, holy shit, she'd have had us likely dead by now. I mean, she would, at some point, she would have gotten us all killed. That's a certainty. I mean, I can see far enough ahead to know that it's going to lead that way somehow. Now, Trump, on the other hand, uh, he kind of behaved as to be expected. He hasn't really accomplished much of anything except, building his own egotism and an aggressive kind of, you know, zeal for himself and his own capacity, which is minimal to say the least. But I mean, he's done a lot. Sure, he's made a lot of money. Of course, he hasn't really done it of his own will or by his own accord. It's more been kind of a, I guess you could call a scheme or even a thievery. But, and he's one of those people that has most of the money. Like, this is somebody that you very certainly should, at the very least, not really like so much, let alone like have a die-hard fucking fanatical support for. That's, in my mind, that's out of the question. This is the person, this is like one of the few people in the world that is directly fucking you over every day. Go ask Donald Trump if he's willing to share his money with you. If you're homeless, ask him if he's going to get people off the streets with the money he's got. Chances are he doesn't really even have the money. He's a representative of America, is a microcosm of the country, which is also broke and pretty much just kind of tricking you into believing that we have a great degree of wealth because it's printed on our paper. It's not real. Very not real. So, I mean, that's a different subject matter altogether. In any case, it was brought to my attention that he tweeted something because, of course, he's like addicted to tweeting. I mean, I use Twitter, so it's not like I'm gonna say it's something's wrong with that. But if it's like you're the president of the United States of America and your foremost hobby is to tweet like at least every day, I mean, come on. But whatever. I mean, it's new times, new measures. People have new hobbies, what have you. But and he's getting with the times. He's an older cat, and he's taking advantage of the newer technologies and having fun with it. I'll give him that. It's okay, but really, I feel as though he probably ought to be having some better things to be doing with his time. I mean, I can barely manage what I need to be doing in the time that I have, and I've actually been granted a little bit of extra time recently, and I make time. This guy, he's slow, and he doesn't have enough to be doing that. He's on Twitter all the time as the president of the United States of America. And something's off there. But in any case, he actually went ahead and tweeted something to the effect of calling this country a shithole. Now, I'm not, at least I shouldn't come across as being like the biggest fan of American policy or the environment in general, but I mean, it's your home and you are appointed counsel on it. Like, you are the commander in chief, which now what we have here is, you know, every representative and influential asset from any other sovereign nation in the entirety of planet Earth witnessing our commander in chief calling his country a shithole. I mean, if it's such a shitty place, would that not be your fucking job to take care of it? Which you're not doing by any means. And B, why would you do that? I mean, I guess maybe he doesn't see it, and that's the topic that I'm here to speak to. Really, is the factor that most people don't see it. Like, a lot of people are going to laugh at this and think it's just another Trumpism, a stupid thing he did. Some people might be offended by it. Some people might, you know, you can have varying considerations of it. But the fact of the matter is that nobody is witnessing the reality of it, which is that there are a slew of dramatically influential implications attached to that. Like, I'm pretty sure it's going to take most people perhaps the duration of his term, if not longer, to actually become aware of what he just did, what troubles that dude just stirred in what was likely a single sentence. I mean, and it's a brilliant example of the kind of power that any particular person can wield, with this technology and access to everybody. I mean, of course, the immediate problem there is going to be that people are careless, that nobody's paying attention really. Most people are only interested in something that kind of makes them laugh or pisses them off, but ultimately people are just looking for time sinks really. If I get on here as I have and I say something that's of import and I try to teach you something about, what's happening in the world, I mean, first and foremost, you have more important things to care about than reality. I mean, you have a lot of distractions that need to be chewing up your time, and you cannot be bothered to, give any attention to something that may actually matter in the long run. You have immediate concerns that are ultimately kind of useless and entirely improper, honestly. But I mean, of course, you can't be, it shouldn't be asked of you even to, put any effort whatsoever toward improving your understanding of our situation, especially not if it's going to kind of, push you toward accepting to any real degree a higher, greater sense of responsibility for your own influences and determinations. Which, I mean, it's just even the people who have, like, it's ridiculous to suggest that anyone, any single person even, should go ahead and accept, the full weight of responsibility for themselves, their life, their people, and the very species that they represent. That's you know that's beyond. It's unfathomable, really. Who the fuck would do that? Let alone actually put forth an active, conscious effort on a regular basis to actually do something about it. Take action in a manner befitting somebody who would actually want to make a positive change in the world. It's unheard of. But I mean, we had a few people, given throughout the several teams and other groups and programs and group projects that we've launched, campaigns. There's many people that have gone ahead and expressed that they personally have even the desire and the willingness to accept that level of responsibility, and that they, have expressed that they have a determined commitment to this cause of uniting our people and eliminating these problems that are setting us back and potentially destroying us. Which, of all those people, I think there's probably five remaining right now who haven't kind of just wandered off and decided to ignore it for the most part, which I'm very happy with those people. Good fucking job, man. You guys are awesome. We're going to get more like you, and it's going to be a long, long time, I'm sure, but eventually we're going to have enough solid assets to really do some damage here. But until then, I should like to speak to the implications of my own statement, which I made. I made the proper introduction video, and I said some things to the effect of that we are not going to be pacifistic about what we're doing here. And that's, I'm speaking the truth. I cannot lie. Honesty is our policy. It's protocol 2. Do not lie. We cannot break it. It's a practicality matter. If we do break it, it places us in danger, in jeopardy. So we do need to be thoroughly honest and visible at all times. Now, I received a message. I believe it popped up on the top of the screen, but I cannot actually find it anymore. But of course, I'm fast enough to have read what I could of it in the time that I was able to see. And it said something like, it's, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was something like the degree to which what you're saying can be misinterpreted is staggering. Which whoever made that comment, I don't know who it was because it disappeared, but that was well written. I thank you for that. That was invigorating to read that much. But and it is the implication, or the potential implications, and the degree to which what I've said can be misinterpreted is very staggering. And in fact, I've already received a great deal of feedback in that regard, on top of the turmoil that's been caused by the religious community, or in the religious community, regarding our stance on that, my stance on that particularly. I don't, my opinion on the matter on this topic does not represent the entirety of the initiative. Everybody has differing opinions regarding religion, but for the most part, we all agree that it is at the very least to be kind of set aside. For the most part, it's not something that should be governing your considerations in life, because it is, I mean, modern religion at the very least is effectively designed to be to your detriment, to act against you. It's designed to hold you down. It's designed to divide people. It is designed to cause us trouble and to make it exceptionally difficult for us to operate in any effective manner. I mean, it's most particularly Christianity. And I'll set this out as my personal opinion so nobody else has to take the blame for it. But Christianity, very specifically, and all attached doctrines that are, related to that, came around about it around the same time and from the same mechanism, particularly Bible-based religions. That's it. You know, Bible-based, you know, biblical scripture-based religions are specifically designed to ultimately enslave you, to eliminate potentialities, and to make you controllable for the most part, to kind of rip off your limbs and watch you squirm. That's and I mean, this, we're gonna make, if it's not obvious to you, if you're unable to see it, we're gonna go out of our way to make it visible. Believe me. I mean, we all may not be of the same opinion that there's something that it should be discarded entirely, but we are all of the precise same opinion that you should be informed. Because if you are living your life, you know, based on an understanding that is delivered unto you directly from the Bible, and nothing else speaks the truth to you, then you are in serious trouble and you need help. It's not. I'm not saying, like, I'm not outright saying that you have some kind of psychological deficiency, but that is in fact the case. And I apologize if that comes across as being offensive, but the truth is that it's not a permanent issue, and it is not your fault. It is a cognitive disorder that has been imposed upon you without you really understanding it. And, you know, should you have what it takes, just a little bit of courage and integrity to give a little consideration to the light we're trying to shed on that topic, I think you might become aware of the fact that you are a hell of a lot more intriguing and excellent and fantastic and just amazing and powerful than you had been led to believe. And you might even, I'm sorry, but you might turn out to feel kind of bad about time that's been wasted in that regard. So, I don't know. We're going to do what we can for that. But yeah, I understand that what I've said can be misinterpreted. And to make it as clear as I possibly can here, and try to cut this at 20 minutes, um, we have no violent intentions. We do not want to harm anybody. We're not trying to start any actual material conflicts. We are trying to eliminate conflicts. When I say that we are going to attack something, to launch a coordinated assault, what I mean is we're going to direct our influences and our efforts toward solving problems that are very evident and imposing on our global culture, that just very obvious problems that could easily be solved that it seems people are just kind of ignoring for no other reason than that society has trained them to. We have all been trained by our environment and the people that we encounter, the influences that are incurred upon us have trained us to be a certain way, programmed us. And for the most part, a good 90% of the populace is being fed programming that is acting against their ability to manage. Period. It's like gotten if it's society as a whole has gotten to the point where people have actually been taught and well trained, very well trained to just be ignorant and careless and not give a shit about really the only thing that actually matters, which is taking care of our environment and making sure that we have a sustainable position at all. So that's what we are attacking. We're attacking ideas. We're attacking values. We're attacking broken programs. And, you know, there are people out there who are going to be so hardwired and determined to maintain this programming and to make sure that it acts to our detriment, that they are going to very likely going to try to assault us physically in order to put a stop to us once we start doing delivering some serious blows in that regard. And at that point, yes, we will absolutely defend ourselves. There is nobody that's going to put us on a fucking cross and burn us in the sun. There's nobody that's gonna fucking, you know, put the chains on us and tell us what to do. We're not gonna sit there and meditate next to the tree while they cut it down. Okay, we are here to ensure our survival and our foremost capacity as best we can. And every single operative that I work directly with, that I have chosen myself, or that works with the foundation, even by extension, has at least some degree of training in self defense, if not a pretty decent degree of training in pretty much disabling anything they happen to come across if they need to. So we're not, we're not going to sit back and let people roll over us, is what I'm saying. But we're not going to actually go out and attack anybody. I mean, that's not the intention. We are based in the consideration that we want to bring unity and peacefulness to the world. It's just that we're gonna damn well be fucking aggressive about it. That's the only fucking problem with our general community, as it were. The people who speak about this interest and say they want to, devote themselves to bringing about peacefulness and unity amongst our people. The only reason that they haven't accomplished that is because they think they can do it by sitting on their ass and, like, chanting mantras or what have you. Maybe they're going to burn just the right incense at just the right time to change the world. Not going to work. Something needs to actually, you need to get up and take action. We need to work together to accomplish a feasible tactical strategy in that regard and actually take care of business. So here we are. That's the intention. I do apologize if anybody took it the wrong way, but I'm going to have to go ahead and inform you that that is very likely your problem. Sorry. Uh, one of the biggest deals we deal with, what we're trying to get across, the things we want to teach, is communication and how to understand things properly. It's not really usually a problem with communicating things outward, expressing things. It's more almost always a complication with somebody's ability to receive it. So that is really the basic hard line of what we want to get across, is that level of communication, reception, and visibility, flexibility, reception, lucidity. Ultimately, it's what we're trying to teach, and no, we're not trying to teach any specific doctrines or certainly not any kind of belief structures. Just how to open your fucking eyes and keep them that way. So, anyways, gone on too long. Thank you all for watching. Anybody who did, I had fun with this one. Kila Salai, Teriyuni Siari, Namaste, my peeps. Be extremely excellent as often as you possibly can. I shall see you probably pretty soon. Good night.